Alright, this is a project I call Grand Willys. The name comes from that the drivetrain and suspension, etc. is all from a 2008 WK or WH here in Australia, Grand Cherokee, from a Jeep with a 5.7 litre HEMI, 5-speed auto, and it is still 4-wheel drive. The Willys part comes that the frame and cab is from a 1948 mainly Willys Ute, or pickup truck as known in the US. Now the frame rails are 48 Willys. What they've been done is they've been changed as far as here, this bend has been increased so that this rises an extra 4 inches. So rather than just the usual C-notching and those sort of things to get the same suspension travel as the donor vehicle, I've raised the frame rails up. They've also had the width and the bends changed. I've used as much as possible from both the original Willys frame, which has also been fully boxed. There's only 2 pieces to this whole boxing section, from one end to the other. The join is just up here. As you can see, the join just there, that's the one and only join. Fuel tank is the original one from the donor vehicle. It's a full aluminium drive shaft which will have to be replaced because the wheelbase is substantially longer. This is a cross member that I've made up which also houses a drive shaft loop. So should the uni ever fail, the drive shaft won't go thrashing around and go through the floor or through that fuel tank there. I've also added a K member. As you can see, it looks like the letter K. This is to stop the frame twisting under hard acceleration and braking or becoming a parallelogram. The rear axle is all from the donor, as are the suspension arms. I've made up the cones and everything for the top coil mounts and the shock mounts and everything. They're all mounted at exactly the same angles as it was in the donor vehicle. Made up this outside plate here, which has all been fully gusseted. You can see the exhaust system, the cap back is from a Corsa. It is also the factory supplied for the 6.1 HEMIs with the SRT version. So it's fully stainless, needed very little modifications. Only those mounts there had to be moved because of the difference in cross member. Originally those mounts, the original exhaust hangers were off the back of this. It's been moved to that now. That cross member and the rear cross member are Willys originals, and they've had basically 2 Willys originals back to back to box them, and the overall width was increased by 50% for added strength and rigidity. From here forward, it's all fully stainless. It's all 3-inch up until the collectors. From there back it's 2 3/4 inch. This is OBX. The cats have been changed to Kook's green cats, the Euro 4 compliant ones. Bit hard to see there. They're high flow, nice and small, so because there's one tucked underneath there. The shield is actually I made from the original Jeep cat. Used the outside housing and made that up to keep the heat out of the floor, and also a transmission pan. These are the headers. They've got 1 7/8 primary, the OBX, normally for the 6.1, but they bolt onto the 5.7 quite easily with only a small mod At the front, an extra bolt hole and a slot for the EGR. The subframe, as you can see here, which has all the original A-arms, and suspension uprights are all being taken from the donor vehicle. These are Elbrack lowered coils. The frame has been widened to suit so it can take the extra pressure in that area from the uprights, and also the amount that had to be cut in for the uprights to fit into the frame. I've doubled the amount of the strut braces, or really coilover braces, because the coil and shock inside it play no place in the actual location of the suspension, so technically it's a coilover and not a strut. You're looking at a right-hand drive original steering rack with the diff sitting in there behind it. The main difference is that I have moved the engine 7 inches back from where it used to sit originally and made up my own mounts. These mounts here, this forward edge here, used to sit 7 inches further forward that way. I still have to attach a front cross member, but that will be determined once the grille and radiator is in place, to make sure they don't interfere with the cross member in place in case I have to move it up or down slightly. The front of the frame has been widened to suit the width of the donor strut or coilover towers. That was done same as the rear. Just a cut was made down here, then stopped just short, an inch short. Just put in a press over there, a whole lot pressed, so the whole front of the frame came up 1.5 inches, and then the whole thing welded up. Inside the frame rail is fully plated. A plate starts over the cut here, goes twice distance and tapers up like this both ways. Always make sure rounded ends, so no stress. And then of course you've got the full box section on the other side, which is all one piece, so it doesn't interfere with any strength issues or stress rises. It is all still be 4-wheel drive, constant 4-wheel drive. We'll have ABS, roll mitigation, traction control. The works will all be reinstalled. So it's a long project, but we'll get there eventually. Thank you for watching.